My name is Hector Rodriguez, but you might know me as Hex.
3 things that best describe you.
Handsome.
Debatable. I have a show coming out on VENN Network. I've been working on this West Coast project for a very, very long time. The thing about this upcoming interview is the fact that I've already done a podcast with him and I know like everything about him. So for me, it's gonna be about digging deep into never before heard stories, and I know a lot of them. I feel like the Bachelorette. Welcome to my new show on VENN. I am your host, Hector Rodriguez, and today we're gonna be having a conversation with one of my best friends in this world, a New York Times bestselling author, a recipient of Forbes 30 Under 30 and 40 Under 40, but also the head of gaming at YouTube, my friend, Birth of Fwiz, Wyatt. From shoutcaster and on-air personality at Major League Gaming, to building community gaming content and growing Machinima to be one of the biggest multi-channel networks, Ryan Wyatt saw an opportunity to expand gaming in the YouTube ecosystem.
All right.
Nope. I need another bachelor.
Am I not handsome enough?
No. It's the way you're dressed. Photo shoot ready.
They made me dress like an actual adult today, man. I've been in sweatpants and hoodies for the
entire
last
season?
7 months.
You know what's crazy is that I've been here twice since COVID and you haven't said hello to me once in person.
By design, yeah, by design, yeah.
When did we meet and how did we meet? And this isn't a test, I don't remember.
In person?
Just how do we become friends?
I actually don't recall, to be honest with you, how we first met.
How are we this good of friends if we don't know how it began to be a thing?
Well, I know we first met in November of 2010 for the first time.
Yes.
But you introduced me to like Optic J and Diesel and all those cats. Mm-hmm. I actually think when we properly, like, we were not friends before November 2010. I think we became friends immediately after that. Yeah.
We hit it off, man.
We definitely hit off because we went out that weekend and stuff like that as well. And I got to meet your brother too because he was there that weekend, right? He was. Well. That I think that's really where it happened because after that I became a part of Optic, started doing all the videos, all of that. So I actually
managed the team.
Yep.
Coached the team. Yep. You were on stage. Yep. The whole night.
Dude, I've gotten to play like almost every position I've wanted to play in the games industry, man. In that regard, it's been fun.
Except for pro player.
It was a little ahead of our time.
Listen, I'm gonna ask you where you got the name from. Right, for those.
It's not a good story though.
I just make it quick.
Dude, I got a Fwiz, like a random generated Xbox gamer tag, and it was something like that, and I just shortened it to Fwiz. Yes, I was like, oh cool, I can just make it 4 letters, shorten it down. I didn't know I was gonna have this career in the gaming industry. I was gonna be known by this name.
Yeah.
If somebody was like, look, pick a name, people are gonna call that for the next 40 years of your life.
Yeah.
I would have been like, all right, I'm gonna think about this.
Let's start at the beginning though. Yeah. Obviously, I've known you for the majority of my life now, I think.
Just
you're 40, I'm 40.
No. 34, just turned 34.
You did?
Yeah, well, October 7th.
Let's talk about 34 years ago.
Yeah, I was born and raised in the suburbs of Cleveland, Akron area, for those that aren't familiar, Northeast Ohio. Mm-hmm. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a police officer. I loved Ohio. It's like a great blue-collar, hardworking region. So just loved everything about it. Huge into Northeast Ohio sports.
Yeah.
You know, love the
Still
Cavs.
To this day?
Oh, die hard. Can't spend all that time, be that committed, and then backpedal. So I've been in LA 10 years, but all of my roots are in Ohio. So Browns, unfortunately, Cavs, now unfortunately, went to Ohio State. So
OH.
IO. Yep.
Are you forced to say that when people say that?
You are. Yeah. You are. Yeah. It's a mandatory thing.
I spent so much time in Ohio that I now almost feel like I have to say it just to be a part of the show.
It's fun, man. It's fun. There's a lot of camaraderie in that state, which I love. I think a lot of people that are from Ohio are very passionate about that. They take a lot of pride in that, and I love that part of it.
Your childhood, obviously, mom's a nurse, dad's a cop.
Yep.
What was your upbringing like? Was your dad a general where he was making a shit ton of cash? Was your mom head nurse or whatever?
No. My mom was a delivery nurse. My dad was just a normal police officer. They got divorced when I was 3.
So because of you, or?
No, I don't think because of me. But yeah, I think that was like they separated, and then My mom actually ended up doing later in life really well for herself. So she started as a nurse, for most of my childhood. But then she started to get on the business side of it. She did sports health for Cleveland Clinic, then ultimately went to start her own company. Did really well after I moved out. So I would have liked to have been on that run in the early days. Yeah, but it's okay. I was very happy for her.
No equity in the family business?
No, I got no equity. And she didn't start making some good money till later in life. But it was good, man. Yeah, I mean, we lived spot on, didn't have any issues. I mean, we definitely didn't make money, but I wanted for nothing. Yeah.
So your high school years, you looked as fresh as you do these days?
No, I didn't say that. I would say, she got clothes on my back, and we got good hand-me-downs. Got an older brother, so some of his stuff I was able to kind of take down.
Yeah.
And so that was good. I think that's why, because kind of was able to double dip. I was able to kind of have a couple nice things that I wanted, and then I was able to take his stuff, as he put on weight and got bigger and got out of the house. So
he's way taller than you.
He is. He's like 6'3", and I'm 5'10". But it's funny you do say that, because he was bigger. My pictures, I was constantly in baggy clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was the style of the 90s.
It was. They were maybe a notch or two baggier than they should have been aesthetically.
I did the whole thing. I went super baggy. Obviously, where I grew up, the skin I'm in. You know what I'm saying? It was part of the culture, the way that I had to dress.
Yeah.
But style for me was the beginning. I had a style ever since I was a child. I haven't changed it in a while, and I still look the same thing.
So funny. So you were pretty stylish at a young age.
100%.
I have not been at all.
The job at Best Buy that you had as a salesman of TVs or...
Yeah, I actually really love this job. So I was, my first job ever was, it was 14 years old, and I was a dishwasher at an Irish pub, which, terrible, right? So
how old were you?
14. But the thing about that job was the dude that I worked with was always taking smoke breaks to smoke Black and Milds. So I had to work, I'm not taking any smoke breaks, so I'm working my ass off. And so I ended up not going into that job. I was I'm not doing it. Went out with my friends. I got fired from that job, but I didn't tell my mom because she had grounded me. And so I kept saying, I was oh, I'm going to work. I'm going to work. One day she can't get a hold of me. She calls. She's like, hey, can I speak to Ryan? They're like, he hasn't worked here in 4 months.
No.
I come home, backseat, I grab my buddy, put my Irish.
Your pin?
Yeah, Mavis Winkles the place. I put the shirt on.
Mavis Winkles?
My mom goes, how's work? I was like, no long night. You know how it is here. She was like, So after that, I started working at Best Buy, which was where I found, where I realized I'm if I'm going to be successful, I need to work in a space that I actually enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I worked at, I love tech and stuff. So I worked at Best Buy, sold TVs.
How old were you at the time? 16, 17?
15, 16 probably, yeah. And then I basically parlayed that role into getting a job at Geek Squad, which I ended up loving.
And how, fired, quit?
No, quit. Ended up working there 3.5 years, basically through college and through high school into my freshman year of college.
Obviously, you're a big sports fan. In high school, you're going through your, attending sports, maybe participating in sports.
Yeah.
At what point, because it was more difficult back then where the scene wasn't as cool to be a video game player, at what point did you decide, or how did you discover video games, and how did you say, yo, this is a part of my being?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I played my first video game when I was 3. I played Mario on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. We got it as a family gift, right? My brother wanted it, my sister wanted it. I'm the youngest of 3. So the first game that I remember playing was Mario, right? And that was incredible. I mean, basically after I started gaming, because then I got into Zelda on the NES as well. I basically never turned back from that point. I mean, I have loved playing video games persistently through my life since I was 3. I've never deviated.
At what point did you find the competitive nature in you that says, you know what, this is a competitive outlet that I can get behind, and it fulfills my competitive side?
Yeah, so I obviously I like sports a lot. I played baseball through high school. I really, I enjoy competition. I'm pretty competitive over everything I do, including work. Really where the turning point was me is a game called Team Fortress Classic.
Yeah.
And then Counter-Strike 1.6. So there was something called Cow League, which was effectively the game battles for these PC games.
And how old were you around that time?
This would have been, I was probably 12, 11,
really?
12, 13, something like that, yeah. I mean, I just loved it. I got into PC gaming really early on. I had an Xbox when it came out, played Halo and stuff with my buddies, because that's what the friends, the neighborhoods and friends did. But I got into PC gaming immediately. That's definitely where I spent a majority of my time. I actually, by far, when I started, like when I was like 10 or 11, I predominantly played PC games. I mean, I had, you know, the Xboxes and so forth, but mostly was a PC gamer.
Sitting where you're sitting now, right? An incredible job, incredible position in a very humble startup.
Very.
Let's be fair.
Yeah,
it's
I miss
Google,
miss
right?
those humble days.
It's Google at the end of the day. Did you ever, at what point did you say, you know, this is gonna go there at some point? Because there's no way that you're like playing a video game and saying to yourself, and I obviously lived the same sort of path that you did.
Yeah.
Like I'm playing sports and playing video games and all of a sudden that's my job.
Are you asking like when I thought it would be a Google job or when I thought gaming would take off?
You know what? Let's get into that after a break.
All right, that's a cut. We're in commercial. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
Welcome back from the break. Well needed. Obviously, the full 5 minutes was exhausted to the T.
Yes.
I want to get back into the rhythm of things, and I want to make sure that we do it the fun way. So we're going to go look at some videos, down memory video lane.
Love that.
A little bit of your voice, a little bit of your character.
I'm a little nervous.
You should be.
All right.
They're not cringy, because that's never been you.
Okay.
But they are a little bit nostalgic.
There are opponents all around him.
Yes. So this was
Overgrown, Call of Duty 4.
Yeah, this was the first time I commentated on the main stage.
Wow,
2009 Call of Duty National
MP5 would have read
Championship.
that. Sharpeisha.
Wow, dude, this is
Astro with the gunner glasses.
And our winners of the 2009 Call of Duty 4 National Champions is Team Extravagant. You're going to take that call? Oh, you're going to call the finals? There we go. Extravagant Icons here. Call of Duty 4 National Champions.
Puckett was so sour because I called the winner of the national championship at the end.
No.
Yes, you couldn't hear him. You missed the whole thing. Yeah. You were so focused on the players. Yeah. He gets so upset that I called the winner.
So you called the winner instead of him. So if he was main caster, he should have gotten that voice?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Two things about that. One, I laugh at me hosting it because, or me calling it because it was such an underwhelming announcement from my part. They just won the national championship. But yeah, he was upset because he wanted to be the one that called it, not me.
Let's talk about your college years.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's when you were like sort of getting into it. What was your college years like? Like, were you an outgoing dude? Were you a studious person that you like sat down, did your homework, and then went out? Or were you just like, I'll figure out the homework later?
Yeah, I loved Ohio State. I had an absolute blast there.
Favorite part about Ohio State?
Football.
The football events?
Yeah,
football
it's blast every Saturday morning. It was like the ones that I remember was the best days. Yeah. No, truly, like that the campus environment and how much it rallies around the football team is so much fun. Yeah, so that's my favorite part.
How were the parties, man? Be honest.
I had so much fun going to college. I learned so much both about life and academically.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change that for anything. I would do that over 100 times if given the opportunity. So I loved it. Now, while in college, I'm traveling to the MLG events. You know, those are like 5, 6 a year. Then I was doing they got the Doritos deal. So I was doing the combines as well.
Yeah.
So as a college kid in 2007 or 8, I was on the road every other weekend, you know, flying.
Yeah.
So I was like loving life. Are you kidding? I was on cloud 9, right?
For folks at home who don't know what Machinima was or what MLG
Which
was.
is just, it breaks my heart to even hear these things. Yeah.
Yeah, describe a little bit.
So Major League Gaming is a little bit more straightforward because MLG was basically the premier North American esports league. Think of it as what Major League Baseball is to baseball in the U.S. and North America in general.
Same colors even.
Yeah, same color. I mean, they definitely ripped the logo off. We can talk about that separately. But so MLG was kind of like the premier North American esports powerhouse. Machinima was ahead of its time. So Machinima was basically YouTube gaming, or like gaming videos on YouTube are on the rise. And Machinima was trying to be like the nerd culture, gaming culture of YouTube, the MTV of YouTube, to be like very painful of how to explain it. So I'm repping events. You know, I'm partying at these events all around the country, right? I'm like entrenched in esports. I mean, some of my most fondest memories. Yeah, I'm getting to commentate during the week from my bedroom. Call of Duty, what I love. We're seeing Call of Duty grow. I mean, are you kidding me, dude? I had like some of my best memories in this industry are that year. And so what happened was Machinima was like, we need a Call of Duty, dude. This guy's got the credibility. You know, I get connected through you, right, to Shore Wars. They need a community manager. They're like, yeah, you're hired. We need you out here in December. I'm like, well, hold up. You know, I'm like, I can't be there till, February, March, whatever it was. So like, yeah, well, that doesn't work for us. And we don't know if there's going to be a job open in February, March, but we like you. So, why don't you reach out to us when you're done with school? And I was like, no, I'm going to be there in December.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm on my way.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, no, don't worry about that. That's my problem. I'll figure that out. I ended up dropping out my last quarter. I didn't finish because I got an opportunity to work in the field of why you go to school, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to college to get a degree so I can leverage that degree to get a job somewhere.
Yeah.
In the gaming industry, right? I got an offer to work
So
at a
dropping out for
gaming
you
company.
was not even a...
It was my last quarter as well. So my mom wanted to kill me.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Have that conversation with me, how it went down.
No, so my mom.
I've met your mom.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, she is. She's also like she's a very passionate Italian woman as well too, right? Half Italian, so I'm pretty diluted at this point. But so she's very passionate. The interesting thing with my mom was she was always really supportive of all of my endeavors in gaming. She was really upset about this, but at the same time, I think she did get it. I also pitched like, Mom, I'm gonna go finish school. I only got a quarter left.
So here comes the salesman part.
Yeah, I can't miss out on this once in a life opportunity, which it was. Can't argue that. And so I think she got it. And she was far more supportive than I expected, but still disappointed nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't been, right? Like, you're almost there. A lot of our friends sort of dropped out of college to pursue a career in this thing.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people have ever been in a situation to act at the right time. Like being lucky, being at the right place at the right time is something that people use on a very loose basis, and they use it so often and so loosely used in any conversation. Like, we were literally in the right place at the right time as gaming was about to explode for us.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of thoughts on that. There's no doubt that we had first movers advantage in the space. Like, is it luck? But I would say you get like shots on goal in life.
Yeah.
You get more shots on goal the more that you work harder.
Yeah.
But I think everybody gets some level of shots on goal.
Well, you were working at MLG. So you left college to go work at MLG, correct?
Yeah,
or was that when you...
No, I was I actually, while in college, was working at MLG because I was hosting and commentating. We got the PlayStation deal.
Yeah.
So I'm getting, at this point, like junior year of college, I'm getting paid real good money from MLG for being a college student.
Of course, yeah.
Definitely better than I would be making like working a normal job, right? Like, if I was like at a restaurant or whatever.
What year was this?
Some of those college gigs would be. This would be like 2007 or 8 or something like this.
I've seen with Machinima and the way that things were working back then, and I feel your sentiment when you say it saddens you that that's not something that is so, it's not talked about nowadays, because a brand that essentially like sort of went down the drain a little bit.
Oh, I would say more than a little bit, right? Look, I think the kind of the first people or companies that go through the brick wall, if you will, end up a little bit like the bloodiest.
Bruised up, yeah.
So I think they're a good example of that. I think you look at a lot of the people that went through Machinima and went to a lot of different companies, they're in very great, successful places now. And I think they, as a company, made a lot of mistakes on the road to the top, and they did a lot of like things. They were like the first people to do a lot of things as well. So
an incredible company, and it led you to a position in which we'll talk about immediately after this break. But it led you to the position that you're in right now because it jump-started the whole live perspective came into gaming.
Dude, no doubt. If I did not go to Machinima, I would absolutely not be where I am today.
Let's get into that after the break.
Yo, we're gonna talk about the how you move from Machinima to MLG so you can get the VP spot, so you can leverage that again here. It's a boss move.
Yeah, just one step at a time.
Yeah. So we know.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Let's sort of wrap up your time at MLG, because I want you to tell me the story of what it was like for you to leave home and what happened during that sequence.
Yeah.
On your way out to the West Coast.
Dude, there's a couple things that was obviously the dropping out was already like pretty overwhelming. The idea that I was moving to a whole nother state. I've been in Ohio my whole life, right? And I had moved up to like Cleveland and Columbus. That was like the extent of my life as far as in Ohio. And so ecstatic to go out to California, right? Like cars packed to the gills. I'm like pumped.
What kind of car?
I had a Nissan Altima loaded up, leaving the apartment to go on the road. Like all right, here we go. An epic road trip from Columbus, Ohio
You did the whole,
to Los
like-
Angeles, California. And in the apartment, I started backing up, taking off. A woman backs up out of a parking spot in the apartment complex.
What kind of car did she have?
I don't know. For backing up though, the speed in which she was going was absurd. All she was doing was backing up, backs right up in the side of my car. Everything, all the shit in the car, everything goes everywhere. And I'm like, I kid you not, 11 seconds into the journey to Los Angeles, I get in a car accident. Anyway, I buy a one-way ticket.
Wait, so how do you ship all your stuff?
I know. So basically, my mom has to take the car because I gotta go to work, dude. Like I gotta go start my job, right? So I buy a one-way ticket. My mom helps me out. She takes the car to the shop. They fixed the car.
Yeah.
My mom loaded all that shit up and she put it on a truck
my God.
and sent that thing to me to California.
I'm trying to imagine the state of mind your mom was in.
No, my mom was most worried about like how much I was getting paid was like nothing. So she was really worried that I just, wasn't gonna be able to
You were
survive.
underpaid,
out of
obviously,
it.
yeah.
Oh, dude, I was making like $28,000 a year when I moved out here. It's like
Yeah.
barely enough to survive in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But the minute I stepped foot and landed in LAX, it was the first time I'd ever been in Los Angeles. I'd never visited Los Angeles.
Describe Los Angeles in 2011, early.
Dude, it was just wild, man. It was just like, it was very overwhelming at the time, right? But also you're like, this weather is beautiful because I just left snowy, Ohio.
Yeah.
And I'm now in California. I'm like, yeah, I think we're gonna get along just fine, Yeah. Yeah. So I actually embraced LA right away. Loved it. I mean, come on, I'm just out of college and I'm in Los Angeles. Dude, I loved it.
Roommates? No roommates? By
Yeah, I
yourself?
moved out and had roommates. We did the Optic House.
Yeah, the first one
we
ever.
started streaming, and then
The
that
official
was,
one.
Yeah, that was the first official Optic House.
You guys even had the championship check for a long time.
We did. We had the championship check. We had the land station set up, and I started streaming on Justin TV. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Like we'd have Hutch and Nanners over and stuff, and we were streaming Black Ops 1.
To a lot of people,
Justin
right?
TV.
Like
It was like
8,000?
No, it was like 1,000, 2,000. But that was like the by far most watched stream on Justin TV at the time. Yeah. So dude, I mean, great days. Loved it. So yeah, that was kind of like the whole move. And then my mom, she basically loaded up, put it on a truck bed, and just sent it to the Machinima office.
Yeah.
We were in Hollywood at the time.
Yeah.
They just come and they're like, here's your car. And it was just like caked in mud because it had just trekked across the country.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Day one at Machinima. Like you walk in, what's like the order of business? You get there and they're like, okay, this is your job. Here are our initiatives. This is the company that we want to be.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Definitely not any of that. It was a very unpolished company at the time. I was probably, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what employee number I was, but there was no more than what would you remember, like 25 people maybe working there, right? Max. Very small crew. I mean, dude, we were in the bullpen, was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Right. So like where the kitchen, like we were quite literally in the kitchen. Justin, who was doing Inside Gaming editorial, if you wanted to get into the refrigerator, had to move his seat up.
No.
So you could open the fridge door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we were in a bullpen, and hell no, there was no mission statement. It was basically like, here's your computer, sit down, and go run a community for Machinima. There's no directive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we worked on that over the years.
How did you fall into that? Like the experience at MLG as a referee and as a the go-to guy to get things solved. Did that help in the growth of Ryan?
So where it was great is I had already been working, like growing my presence on Twitter and stuff too. So I felt like I was easily able to just like get into the community thing. Like knew some YouTubers, like knew the directors, right? Like Dr. Disrespect, you, and like what was it, Only Use Me Blaze, some of these other like cats.
Well, Dr. Disrespect wasn't there yet.
No. Hutch, all them, right?
I hadn't discovered him yet.
Yeah, we'll save that as well. But either way, yeah, it was good. Like, basically, my first initiative was starting to reach out to YouTubers and then partner them under the Machinima network so they could monetize. So I had the best job because I was meeting YouTubers.
Were you the one that put in perpetuity across the universe?
I didn't even know what the hell perpetuity even meant. I was just like, sign this contract. I'm trying to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that you did.
And that I did. I did well, probably too well, because I realized later, I mean, the perpetuity thing, they basically were copying kind of like Hollywood-like contracts. And so they were
protecting themselves.
There were like kids signing these contracts,
Yeah.
And so it was terrible. Like it was all bad. But it was, again, I'll tell you what, this is why it's great though. A bunch of wonderful learning experiences.
Of course.
That I think happened for everybody, both YouTube creators and people that worked in the ecosystem.
Well, tell me about your growth there. I mean, you get there, you're not a businessman yet, but you have an inkling towards understanding community, understanding business. And, when you simplify business to the easiest thing, like it's not that difficult.
Dude, so Machinima was awesome because I got to push like my personal agenda forward in every way shape, and form, right? So I still didn't know if I wanted to be like talent, you know, if I wanted to be a Twitch streamer.
Twist forward?
Yeah, exactly. A YouTube creator. You know, I had my website, was doing like Call of Duty journalism. So they basically were letting me, remember I do the live stream, so I could host at Machinima, I could be on camera at Machinima, I was doing a 9 to 5 at Machinima, I started our live and esports divisions, I moved our MCM business forward, so I got a lot of reps in a lot of different roles, and so you get better at all those roles, but really what it helps you is really figure out what path you want to take, and so I loved it. I honestly, I have the best time there.
I mean, is that not the best way to describe anybody that came into the space in that? It's like an entertainpreneur, somebody that does absolutely anything and everything that needs to be done in order to get the job done, but also trying to find yourself in this like massive space that's being invented. We're putting the wings or fixing the wings as we're flying this plane.
There was really no playbook to follow, so you are writing it as you go. But it was, you know, anytime at that point in the industry, it was so nascent in so many ways that, you know, you just pick up a shovel and start digging, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know what you're gonna do. I don't know, like, go see if you can create value somewhere. Just contribute, right?
Yeah.
And so at that point, nobody knows what the hell they're doing. Everybody's just trying to figure out, you know, I'm like, is it better for me to be a host, or is it better for me to go like sign 9 new channels on to the network today? Like,
What's
I
the
don't
answer?
know. Yeah, it would definitely sign 9 channels. It's much more scalable from a monetization standpoint. But yeah.
Obviously, like it went from this like sort of could be thing to the biggest MCN across all of YouTube.
Dude,
the end all be all. Let's model everything that we're doing on YouTube around this model.
Yes, no, you're so right. Machinima, like I always kind of describe my time there as a bell curve, right? And I started when it was on this, like, you know, starting to be on the upslope, people talking about Machinima. But dude, you think of like, I don't know, was it 2000, maybe 12, 13, everybody's wearing Machinima Respawn shirts, everybody loves Machinima. Machinima is like the gold standard of gaming culture. We just got a round investment from like Google Ventures.
38 million.
Yeah, and value Machinima at like $250 million at the time. I mean, dude, we're living large. We're hiring everybody. There's some new person walking in every day. You know, like we started small. Like all of a sudden, it's like 200 employees. I'm like, I don't know what half you people do.
Yeah.
They probably didn't either. But it was fun, right? The energy was there. So loved it, man. Yeah, it was wild, dude. Wild.
Now you fast forward 2 years, 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Like you go from them being, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is just because it happened, right? It's not everybody knows.
No, it's great. It's a worthwhile discussion.
It was one of my best. I mean, it was one of my best, you know, periods of my life.
Absolutely.
Right, because I would come out here and spend time with my friends, you guys.
Yeah.
I was one of the Machinima first 5 premier directors.
You were.
Shout out Hutch.
Yep.
He's the one that made that happen.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you have this sort of premier brand in the space, the end all be all, like I just said, the model that needs to be followed. And all of a sudden, a complete left turn happens where we're sort of moving away from pure gaming and we're going into basketball locker rooms.
Look, I think what was happening was we were doing original content as well, right?
Yeah.
Too. I think the company, as we grew, tried to do too many things, right? And so really at the end of the day, you know, what would have been better in hindsight is just get like an A in gaming and keep it that way. And I think we
work on the plus.
Yeah, exactly. Work on the plus, right? And I think that is where we started to go sideways. Also, the other thing that happened was competition came into the space, right? So like IGN started a network, Maker came into the
with
equation.
the game station.
So creators started having a lot more choice and optionality, which is great, right? I think you always want that. And so I think what happened was like creators started to see there might be better opportunities for them. And the one thing you cannot do, like cardinal sin in our industry, is piss off creators, right? This is the backbone of the entire industry are people that create content in our space, right?
Yeah.
Gaming video space.
They're the funnel to the fans.
Yeah, and I think we took far too many missteps with them. And you know, once you like, I think the gaming industry, the beautiful part about it is passionate. You can ride that passion to where Machinima did, where it was beloved and everybody like celebrated the name. You can also ride it in the complete opposite direction, where they'll bury you if you do wrong by them. So that's what I love about it, though, to be honest with you, and that's quite honestly what happened there.
So during the implosion of it, right? Because it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was a gradual sort of.
Yeah, it was a slow burn.
Yeah, it was a slow burn. At what point were you like, man, there's too much water coming into this boat. You know, I need to get on some sort of life raft here and move away?
Yeah, you know, like we did the CEO change and stuff, and you just like, for somebody that had been there for a while and talking about that bell curve, and you kind of, you know, I was very much noticed as like somebody that was OG there, but only there like 4.5 years, right? But I was like on the other side of it, and I needed to do something different. I was over. I kind of felt like we weren't mutually helpful at this point. I was kind of burned out being there. I didn't like the direction we were going. I don't know that I felt like I could contribute more. I don't think they could either. And so I was ready to get back into like my passions again. And esports has and always will be one of my hardcore passions. And so, you know, talked to my mans, Mike Sepso and Sundance, co-founders of Major League Gaming, and was like, you know, basically put myself on the block, you know, where I'm like, I'm going to make a move. Like I'm going somewhere else.
That's when you went back to MLG.
It was perfect. MLG had caught its like second, third, fourth win, whatever you want to call it, you know?
Listen, I'm going to interrupt you because I know we're skipping. We always skip this one part, okay? Twitch and YouTube were already seeking your...
So YouTube wasn't. I did... I skipped this part on purpose.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time to tell us. So enough years have gone by.
YouTube was not even thinking about really gaming in a meaningful way at the time. So YouTube wasn't on the radar. I had a relationship with co-founder of Twitch and still do today, Kevin Lin. I did not go to Twitch.
What did they want you to go do?
So it was a director of programming role of some sort. Yeah. It was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
In hindsight, you know, I have no regrets, but that would be one if I was giving career advice. Like, you should have taken it.
You couldn't have seen that it was going to be sold for $1 billion.
I don't know. John Howell was right. Like, I had many conversations with John Howell about why the value of Twitch is more important than Machinima, and I was so because Twitch had proprietary tech, right? They had a live streaming platform, not just a brand, but the Machinima gaming brand was much stronger at the time, right?
Yeah.
And we spoke at length about this, and I disagreed wholeheartedly with them. I'm like, the brand and the culture is everything, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can have the tech. And I was flat out wrong, right? I think, you know, obviously you could see where Twitch ended up going, where Machinima went. So it was a missed opportunity for me, but it all worked out. So basically what happened is that I actually didn't take that role, then talked to Sepsa and was like, let's do it. And so I went to, because I actually turned down the Twitch role like 2 years into Machinima. So when I was at the end of Machinima, there was not a Twitch opportunity, right? So that actually happened halfway in my time in Machinima and stayed at Machinima.
Yeah.
So I like re-upped my time and then got paid more and stayed at Machinima. And so this is like, I wanted to go back to MLG. It's made sense. I like the idea of returning back there, having a bigger role. And that's,
you came back as a VP.
And I came back as the VP of programming. We had MLG TV. Like, again, they were on a little bit of a hot streak again. And so it was fun time to go back.
Let's go to a break.
We've known each other for a super, super long time. So for us to have a conversation, whether it's on camera, off camera, is just second nature.
Yeah, I agree. It's been really fun actually just catching up. We haven't had like a proper rehash of life either in a while. So
no, we have not.
It's kind of serving a little bit as that.
Yeah, because I only get to see him when there's work. Otherwise, he's being a dad, a great husband, and a semi-okay beginner golf guy.
Yeah, I think that's. Are
you better than Matt already though?
I beat Matt a couple times, but he got so much better in the last like 3 or 4 months again.
Yeah.
Dude, he goes to range like every day. I just golf. That's it. I never practice. I just show up and play.
Love it.
So he got really into it. I think after I beat him, I had him like totally freaking out.
Some people are naturals at things,
and I am, because I only started playing last summer. Oh,
missed it.
Yeah, that went in 100%. Yeah.
Welcome back. So obviously you now have this big title over at MLG.
Yeah.
Right? At what point did YouTube reach out, or how did that go?
Yeah.
Was there an interview process for YouTube?
There's a lot of questions in there. So I was only at MLG for 8 months and I got recruited by YouTube. I got recruited by a man named Robert Kinsel, who's the chief business officer at YouTube. His chief of staff was Machinima's partner manager at the time, right? So I had known her because basically I had a bunch of complaints about.
What year around what
This is
year?
when I was at Machinima, right?
Okay.
So
like 2013?
Well, so I've been at YouTube 6 years now.
Okay.
So 6 years ago. And so basically when I was at Machinima, I would always write these long mission statement like emails of how terrible YouTube was with gaming. Like you're not doing live streaming right, you hide gaming, you're doing a terrible job with it, it's such an important part. Like, I would just complain non-stop to her about how poorly YouTube was handling the gaming category.
Behind closed doors, obviously. In email.
Behind closed,
so not tweeting at them.
Yeah, mostly behind closed doors, because I think that's where you can be most effective, to be honest with you. But yeah, so I would always have these conversations. So what happened was, at MLG TV, I signed PewDiePie to a deal to stream on MLG TV. So one of our big checks was like, how are we gonna get attention? We'll get PewDiePie. So one of the first things I did was get PewDiePie streaming on MLG TV. Caught the attention, obviously, of YouTube. They're like, wait, he's still doing upload and everything on YouTube, but they still were like, wait, what is he doing over here? So the combination of that happening, catching YouTube's radar, the combination of Susan, our CEO, loving gaming, which is awesome, and this partner manager, Courtney, who was at Machinima, becoming the chief of staff for the chief business officer, there's like this perfect like mix happened where they said, go get that guy that thinks he knows how to do everything and is always complaining to us about what we do or don't do. Let's go talk to him.
You're that guy.
Yeah. So I'm that guy, and so I ended up having lunch with Robert and spent an hour and a half telling him about all the things that they should be doing that they don't do.
Yeah. Was that easy for you?
I had nothing to lose. I didn't think I was gonna get. I didn't think that I'm like.
You thought you were just having a conversation with somebody?
Yeah. When I took the lunch, man, I just thought I was like, you want to hear? The lunch was like, talk to me about what you think about what YouTube should be doing on gaming. And so like, I had no shortage of things to say to him about how I feel that they should be changing things.
Yeah. And immediately he's like, this is the guy.
Yeah, I think he walked away saying, these are valid points. Let's put him through the process. Yeah, I think I don't want to put words in his mouth that he was impressed, but I think, I think he definitely thought that we should follow up on this.
So day one at YouTube, what year? Like, do you remember? You said 6 years ago, so that's 2014. Do you remember the month?
Yeah, so I basically went through 13 interviews at Google.
Okay, so you did go through an interview process.
You don't work at Google without going through an extensive interview process.
Look, I've seen the interns with both Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. Was it something like that?
There's not. Google doesn't really have gotcha questions, So I had to speak to a lot of different people across the company, all the way to Susan. I mean, my last interview, my 13th interview, was with Susan. They did a lot more interviews too, because it was like, gaming's a new vertical. This guy's pretty young. All these different variables that they had to consider. So I went through 13 interviews, and I got my official job offer in October of 2010.
Now that you are who you are,
2014. Sorry.
Now that you are who you are, are you a part of that interview process for incoming talent?
Oh yeah, I've done hundreds and hundreds of interviews at Google over my 6 years.
What's your first question?
Tell me about yourself. Yeah, I try to open it up, do a little bit of, you try to like just break the room up a little bit. I think people are really nervous when they go into Google interviews too. I think especially more than any other interview, because I think it's there's a stat too that it's harder to work at Google than to get into an Ivy League school, and so I think people put a lot of pressure that once they get the interview, like that's already from an application to even get an interview is a big step, and so I just really try to get people to have conversation. The other thing to consider is by the time they're already talking to me, they've already done a lot of different interviews, and so people have already said this is a good person to hire, and so I'm doing more when I do interviews. I'm trying to get a feel for them as a person. Yeah. So I'll ask industry-related questions, but they've already gone through the gauntlet of that, right? They already have it demonstrated role-related knowledge, expertise that they get the industry, and so I'm just trying to have a conversation with them at that point.
Do you find it difficult? I mean, being who you are, do you find it difficult to stream with your friends and be you? And I'm not saying that you're faking you at work, but the talent side of you, your comedy, your personality, like you dial it back a lot, right? Is it difficult for you to sort of go down that path, like knowing how important your position is, who you are as a leader in that company?
I think I look at it a little bit differently. I think the job has allowed me to improve as a person and be a better person.
100%.
And so I think of it as, I don't look at it as much as dialing it back. To your point, it's not that it's not being dialed back, but I kind of just trying to improve in general, and the role helps me. Like the gravity of the role definitely has helped me improve and be a better person. Yeah. So, I mean, look, the antics from when I was 24 at Machinima as a host and on a gaming video network is definitely different than an executive of the biggest gaming platform in the world.
Yeah.
You know, you have to change with it.
Absolutely.
There's a responsibility that comes with it, and so I think it's probably more that than it's like dialing it back necessarily. Now
Obviously-
I do have to dial it back sometimes with Hutch, but
Yeah.
that's just because I want to kill him sometimes. But that's a whole different
and you
story.
can't do that.
Yeah, I can't do
You
that.
can't-
I couldn't do that even before work. But yes.
No, well, no. If you put it in that
Yeah,
perspective, no,
yeah,
you cannot.
yeah.
If we go back to 2015, like year one of you going into this thing, what's the culture like? And has it changed gradually as it goes off? Obviously, with the times, or
It has
how
changed.
different is it?
It's funny you say that, man. You know, like when I first started at YouTube, we were in the Beverly Hills office, which was really small office, right?
Yeah.
It's like 100 people.
I was
in
not
this
impressed
office.
when I visited.
No, it's small, but I love that about it, right? So like all of a sudden you're going into this, you know, I've only worked at startups, like very small startups. And so I was able to kind of like transition nice to YouTube because of that office environment. It made it kind of still feel small, but you're working for this. Google and YouTube, I think, have changed a lot even over a 6-year period, just the size and scale. So when I started, there was like 40,000 employees working at Google. There's like 110,000 or something. I don't even know what it is today. So it's gotten substantially bigger. And YouTube has gotten substantially bigger since I started there. So it's been great to grow up with it. YouTube is really fun though, like, cause it's still this, you know, video entertainment brand.
Yeah.
So it's got a different cultural vibe than, you know, a Google Play or
built on
Google
fun,
Cloud
yeah.
and stuff like that. It's a little bit more fun. I mean, you know, from my perspective.
Do you see yourself transitioning to anything else outside of gaming?
I'm at a point in my life where I ask those questions more. I notice I do my best work when I'm really passionate, and I have found that I'm so profoundly passionate about the gaming industry. I don't really have a huge desire I definitely don't want to leave it. So I'm open to increasing scope of
Your
my
workload,
role.
yeah.
But why I wake up in the morning and can give it 100% every day is because of being in the industry.
From the time that you got there to where you are today, what are give me your 3 biggest initiatives that you're super proud of that you've been able to accomplish?
Yeah,
while there?
first and foremost, it was really easy. Like
And don't say hiring Lester Chen.
Yeah,
because that's obvious.
Yeah,
That's
you
an
always
obvious
you
win.
need a good team. That's always important. But the first thing I want to do was get YouTube to appreciate gaming.
Okay.
Right. And that was like my biggest focus. The second thing was develop meaningful relationships with gaming creators and gaming publishers and build products for gamers by gamers. Those
And you
3
are
things.
that.
Yes. So those were the first 3 things I wrote down on a notebook that said, we got to go get this done.
How hard was that path for you to take? Were they susceptible to being, to reshaping? Obviously, they bring you in because you have these great ideas. So right there, you get this sort of indicator from them that says, we want to evolve this thing. How willing were they to bend to your ideas?
Well, I think it's I wouldn't say my ideas. It takes a village, right? There's a lot of people that work on gaming at YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a collective assortment of ideas,
Yeah.
but with the idea being we have to build products for gamers,
Yeah.
gaming publishers, gaming creators, gaming viewers. Now, it's incredibly open, right? Like Susan is the biggest champion of the games industry. Loves it, fascinated by it. I kid you not, always like, what are we doing in gaming? Like, as in, I'm always going to keep that thing top of mind,
Yeah.
front and center for me.
So obviously you've been having a great time there. Obviously
Yeah.
in your career there, there had to have been some I don't want to say failures, but definitely learning experiences.
Oh my gosh.
Give me 1 or 2.
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
will-
I mean, I have more than 1 or 2, but the ones that come to mind, the YouTube gaming app was a huge failure from my perspective, and we initially built the gaming app because it allowed us to move really quickly to get these products, right? So we recognized there's this suite of creator products that need to be created, and we had to figure out like what's the fastest way to do it. There's a bunch of gaming content that exists. We're like, let's just launch an app. It'll allow us to move fast, separate us from the broader YouTube teams, and we'll be able to build these things for creators and all of this. The ultimate problem that you have is people are only going to really mess around with 4 or 5 apps on their phone for the most
Correct.
part, right? And there's diminishing returns past that 5th app as far as activity and people using it, right? So, and YouTube is already the biggest video platform. So, right, getting people to install a new app or go to a different destination,
Yeah.
it's just like not happening. And so what we did is we put all of our eggs in this app, right? So YouTube gaming for the first 3 years was totally associated with the app, right? I
Yeah.
think we've gotten away with that over time. And so I would have done a variety of things differently. I would have never done the app. I think the benefit of doing the app is we were able to port those products into YouTube when we did move them back in, and so you got to build fast and then move them in. And we also probably could have waited to launch that thing too, right? Like we felt a sense of urgency to get it out to market and probably shouldn't have. And so I'd say that was a big thing. And then we attached our marketing to it too much. YouTube gaming was considered a failure at that point. And so that was a tough part for me, where I was like, this is my first big role, and I felt like I had failed on like the first task of my job.
It's funny you say that, because from my perspective and people around us, and not just because you're a friend, we never saw that as like a losing battle, because we don't get to see the data or analytics. And we're gonna go to a break real quick, but I just want you to know before we do, at no point has any of your friends, including me, seen you as anything else besides successful. So
I appreciate
don't
that.
take that too. Don't take the failure.
Yeah,
I know we're hard on ourselves, but chill out.
It was a speed
Don't talk
bump.
about my friend like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Let's go to a break.
Look at that, you guys getting the B-roll and everything out, huh? Just trying to make it all happen. I know, I like it. You guys making it count.
Welcome back. You see where we're at today. You see the leaps and bounds that we made since we started. We had this parallel growth. You and your industry, me and my industry, and esports as its own entity grew up. Where do you see it going?
The interesting trend that I've seen of when I look at these numbers is actually from mobile gaming, which nobody really wants to talk about it in Western markets particularly, but I look at some of the numbers from Green Free Fire tournaments. It's actually like one of the biggest esports in the world, and nobody's talking about it. It's a mobile game, right? So what's happening is you're looking in, like, again, India and Latin America and Southeast Asia, where the primary device to play video games is the mobile phone.
Makes no sense to me.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to people that have consoles and PCs easily accessible. Yeah. If you didn't, and you liked video games, you would play on your phone, because that's your, hardware and phones getting better, so the sophistication of the games are too. So esports is 1,000% going to contend with traditional sports in viewership, which means the dollars are massively different, right? From
now.
Like a sponsorship in esports relative to a traditional one. When those dollars start to get more even, it's going to be insane what esports does.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah, it's the same of like when digital video started eating out of linear television's pocket advertising. So just once you start pumping that kind of money into the ecosystem in esports, it's going to be insane, right? You got Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Tencent, all these people invested in video platforms that are helping grow the space. So I'm like a big believer that we're in a great situation where like all ships rise. I like truly am a believer in that right now.
Did you reserve any of the new consoles coming out, the PlayStation 5?
Dude, I don't even, honestly, I'm like so bitter about this, to be honest with you.
Go on.
So like, I'm working all day, trying to make sure that, gaming video continues to succeed, creators are getting paid. Yeah. And I look up and I missed all the pre-orders on both the Xbox and PlayStation, both times. Obviously, they're two different dates. Yeah. So but on launch day, I'm not gonna have either one. First time in my entire life.
You're telling me, sitting there.
I am dead ass serious.
With a straight face, you're telling me that the head of gaming at YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna leverage it. I'm not gonna go hit up Phil Spencer and be like, my man, send me one. I want to get one like everybody else does, and I'm going to. I'm probably just going to...
Camp out? My brother camped out.
I did see that. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll have one. I've never not had these consoles on launch. I mean, so like it's going to happen. But I did not cop the pre-orders. I also totally underestimated how much like you needed to get a pre-order. Yeah. So I don't know. Leave your Twitter in the comments if you're trying to sell me yours. I'll buy it off of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, obviously, for coming on to my show. First episode, same thing as my podcast. I certainly appreciate you taking time away from Liam. I was disappointed when you didn't bring him. He could have been like your Total Recall, baby dude coming out of your shirt. Like,
yeah. He,
like, you got some darts.
Yeah, my wife, I've even been like, I'm like, look, he's got like your eyes. She's just like, just stop now. It's like he looks so absurdly like you that you like don't even try to humor it. Because we try to be like balanced.
Yeah. More like you than your wife, because obviously I see the stories. But
he looks like 98% like me and 2% like her. All we can hope for is that he's got her personality, right? So I'm like, just hold out, right? Yeah. Like he's not going to be this like wild beast of a child if he's like me. So I'm hoping that he looks like me, but he's got her personality.
Thanks, man. I truly do appreciate your time. I appreciate your friendship, and I can't wait to do this again.
No, I loved it, man. This was a blast. This was a good time. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
So we just wrapped the show. Ryan's out there taking, look at him. He's taking a little bit of a lunch break. So far, I'm having an incredible time. I think this is gonna be a really, really good show, which I'm excited about because who doesn't like to create fun stuff? Actually, don't tell me who, so I wanna know.